Welcome to Exercise Confidence. My name is J.R. Nasari, and I am the host of this podcast. A little backstory on how Exercise Confidence got started. So, I have a background in athletics. I played competitive softball up until college, and I am currently a rugby player on the Cal State University Long Beach women's rugby team. I also have a background in other competitive arenas, such as pageants. Yep, I said pageants. I competed for the Miss California organization for about 3 years of my life, and I won over $12,000 in scholarships through that. So, athletics, pageants don't always tend to go hand in hand, but as we navigate this podcast together, we're going to discuss how these different venues of life have kind of opened themselves up for me to explore, and how that has allowed me to exercise confidence, and how I have had the opportunity to work with many other people to help them do the same. Today, my first guest on my inaugural episode of Exercise Confidence is Alexander Seeley. Alex is from Northern California, and he moved down to LA to pursue higher education and to create the change that he needed for himself. He was able to do this through exercising confidence in his own decisions and capabilities, even when it looked a little scary or hard to do. So, we're so excited to have him on today. We're really thankful, and let's jump into it, friends. Here it is, the first episode of Exercise Confidence. Hey everyone, it's JR here, and today my guest is Alexander Seeley. Alex, thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
All right, so we're going to dive right into it with just something a little easy, everyone's favorite interview question. Tell me something about yourself. The twist is you have 20 seconds to answer. Go.
20 seconds to tell you something about myself. I've only been out of the country once. I'm from a farmer town. I now live in LA. I'm an accountant. I have over 45 hours of tattoo work on my body, and I am a Wilton certified cake decorator.
And your time is up. Wow, that was a lot in a little bit of time. Something that caught my attention, actually, you said you're from a small farm town up in Northern California, and now you live down here in LA. That's got to take a good chunk of confidence to jump from a small town to the big city.
Well, for me, I looking back on it, or from a different perspective, you could say that, but for me, it was born almost out of necessity. I love the small town I'm from, but opportunity was knocking. Something was telling me, hey, you got to get out. You got to go experience something. And I listened to whatever that voice was, and it brought me here. So I threw everything in my car, drove down here, found a place to live on the way down. And 3.5 years later, I couldn't be happier with my choice.
That's got to be a big accomplishment in your eyes, I'm sure. And for those that are going to hear about this, you said that this opportunity for you to come down here was born out of necessity. Was the confidence to just throw all your stuff in your car and leave, was that born out of necessity, or was that already within you when you made that choice?
I think that was actually like the big turning point in building my confidence. Prior to that, the confidence that I had, I would say, was about average. Like, I'd be scared to do some things. I wouldn't be scared to do others. I was kind of like a sheep. I just followed the flock wherever it went. If someone else did it, I would try it. So yeah, if a friend jumped off a bridge, I would do it, but I wouldn't be the first one to do it. But eventually it got to a point where I needed to leave the town for multitude of reasons, not worth getting into, but I needed to leave. And don't worry, I didn't like kill someone and I had to run away. But I had to leave. And when my back at least is against the wall, and that voice was saying, this is the chance. If you don't take this now, it's not going to happen again. You do it. And when I threw everything in the car and I started driving away and I saw the city disappear in my rearview mirror, I think a new version of me was born then.
So when that new version of you was born, and you're saying you're watching your hometown disappear behind you, were you nervous at all, or did you feel completely comfortable in the choice you'd made?
I was comfortable in the choice I made. In almost every single choice that I make, I am comfortable with it because I know that as a person, I'm going to survive the situation. No matter how bad it is, I'm going to survive it. And so I was comfortable in the decision. but I still had a multitude of other emotions still going through me. Excitement, there was still some fear, definitely sadness, but it's important to know that when you have a whole bunch of different emotions all vying to be the one emotion that you are feeling at that moment, to let them work together. And that's what really helps me create confidence, is controlling those emotions all together. Like, that's really a major confidence builder.
I want to go back to you saying that no matter what, you know you're going to survive it. And you talked about now that confidence builder. Is there something in there about that survivalist kind of mentality, or just that hopeful vision for your future, that really helps spark or spur that feeling within you, that isn't just, oh yeah, I made it past another day, I'm gonna go do it again, like, but really something unique within you that you say, this is what is doing it for me, this is what is making me just a cut above or a little different than the others?
Well, there's a lot of conventional wisdom that gets floated out there. Be the first person there, be the last person to leave. One of the ones that have always stuck with me is, no matter what room you're in, always make sure you're trying harder than anyone else in the room. I know that I probably won't be the best at everything, or even be the best at anything. But knowing that, I can see how close I can get. And that desire to see how close I can get, that is what pushes me.
So the desire to see how close you can get, I'm sure there's a fine line there between true confidence and also fooling yourself.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Have you ever felt like you kind of crossed that line?
I'm always crossing the line. I'm crossing it into true confidence and back into faking it, and back into true confidence, back into faking it. Anyone who says they are 100% truly confident all the time, oh, they're lying. But you won't know because they're faking it.
But more so than faking it, kind of digging into fooling yourself. Do you ever feel like you've been in a situation where you were just fooling yourself, or did it somehow just pan out for you in the right way?
Oh, it's all of the above. Like, sometimes I have to tell myself, you got this. This is something you can do. You've done this before. If it's something I haven't done before, that's when I fake it. Or if I have no experience, that's when you fake it. You have to tell yourself that you can do it. And then the times where there's truly confidence, it's just so exciting to know I can do this. And whatever happens to me, either short term or long term, I'm going to come out a stronger, better, more confident, more complete person.
So what's the stupidest thing you've ever done out of confidence?
Oh boy. Stupidest thing that I have done out of confidence. Well, I'd actually go back and say the stupidest thing I've ever done out of confidence was go on a road trip with no idea where I was going, where I was staying, what I was doing. I just knew I wanted to see the Grand Canyon, and that's pretty much it. And so I took a 2-week road trip, just threw some stuff in my car and figured it out as I went. I didn't stay at any hotels. I didn't stay at any motels. Didn't stay at any Airbnbs, and figured it out as I went.
So really, it seems like your car is the vehicle for your confidence.
Oh, is this what your podcast is going to be like? Like, I'm glad to be the first guest, but if it's going to be full of puns like that, I don't...
Not full of them, but it's my humor, so I got to throw one or two in.
Yes, it was my vehicle, yes.
But let's go with this analogy about kind of the journey that it takes to build and grow your confidence. You know, it is kind of like getting in your car unexpectedly going on a road trip, because there's no one right way to become a 100% confident person, or else we would all be buying the book on it and living our best lives. So, you've talked about moving. You've talked about kind of just not being rash or anything, but faking it till you make it. Do you have something very pinnacle other than leaving your hometown that really is the part of your confidence, or a person even in your past that was that person always kind of giving you that guide to self-confidence, telling you you could do it?
The best answer I have to that would actually be the support structure that I've built up. I never had that confident voice within myself. Growing up, I definitely did have it. I was so shy, and I was scared of what everyone thought of me. And so I just really didn't interact with anyone. I kept to myself, and I didn't try anything. But my parents, when I was growing up as a young adult, or when I was growing up as a child or teenager, they never told me you can't do that. When I wanted to try something, they let me do it. And they encouraged me and gave me ways to accomplish what I wanted to try to do. Like I said, I wanted to dye my hair blue in my freshman year of high school. And my mom, rather than saying, oh, hell no, she says, yeah, all right, let's go. So she picked out some bleach, and we bleached my hair, dyed it blue. Yeah, I got made fun of at school for it. Go figure. But I was happy with it, and I was happy that my mom was willing to let me do that and help me through that. And then as an adult, when I moved out, that same support structure came from my friends. And it took a while for me to allow them to be my support structure. It's very important to be willing to lean on people. Mm-hmm. Because when you're closed off, when you can say you have your friends, but if you don't trust them and what their best interest for you is, then you're only reliant on yourself, which makes it, it's doable to be confident and accomplish things. But with that support structure and that trust in other people, you know that when you do fail, which you will, the fall won't be as far. It's a lot easier to get back up, dust yourself off, and try again.
Alex, what advice do you have for somebody who's maybe listening to this right now and just does not have any kind of support structure like that to help them cultivate that confidence within themselves, but they desperately want it?
I'd say the first thing to do is try to understand where your emotions and fears are coming from. For a long time, I didn't try to figure myself out. I assumed I knew. And I really had to sit down and think, why am I scared? And be honest with yourself and not be embarrassed of the answers you give yourself. And then once you figure out why you feel the way you do, why you don't have that confidence, why you're lacking that confidence, you can start to come up with a game plan. And know that if you don't have that support structure now, you can find it. If you like playing video games, you can start talking to the people you play with or match up with online through Steam, through Reddit, maybe through Instagram groups, Facebook groups, local groups. And don't be afraid to reach out to people that are near you. So someone that you say hi to with at work, maybe try a little bit longer of a conversation than just, hey, how you doing? Be like, hey, did you catch the game over the weekend? Or, oh, do you do this? Or do you do that? And that's how you start that structure. Start small. Because if you try to take a big step or try to do too much at once, it can be overwhelming. You're going to consider that a failure, and you're not going to try again.
So 2 things that I want to touch on based off some things you said right now. It sounds like kind of the main advice you're giving here is you really got to put yourself out there in some kind of way. And I know that can be super uncomfortable. I know there's a handful of points in almost any given day where I really do want to compliment someone or just give them that little, word of kindness, but I get so self-conscious, even myself still. And I'm like, oh, they're going to think I'm weird, or they're going to think I'm a creep. I don't want to say something to them. But it sounds like you're saying putting yourself out there in little ways can really start being that building block.
I think, well, you touched on a great example. There have been many times I could be out with someone and they notice someone else, be it the shoes that they're wearing or the dress that they're wearing, or if it's a guy with a cool beard or a mustache. As you're passing the other person, literally just say, "That's a cool beard you got," or "I love your shoes." And that interaction is going to take about 3 seconds, and you're going to still feel a little stressed and a little weird about talking to this person you don't know, but it's not even a conversation. They're going to say thank you, and they're going to walk away. Now, if you keep it short and sweet like that, it's a great starting point. And I can tell you, there have been only three or four times in my life where a stranger has complimented me in that fashion. And I still remember them all. It leaves a lasting impression. So you're helping yourself and you're helping someone else. But small steps like that. So if it's not talking to someone there, I can't tell you what it is, but hopefully when the moment comes for you, you'll take it.
And talking about how you even mentioned right now that, somebody compliments you and you remember it. I think there's something to be said here about these ripple effects that can happen just from these small things that can work as a building block for yourself to build your own confidence here. Yet what you're doing is also boosting someone else's confidence and the compliment you give them. And just maybe they'll feel the same way. They'll be like, I love that compliment that I got today. And then they'll want to give a compliment to someone else. Start a little chain reaction here.
Well, I mean, scientifically, it comes down to a slight dopamine rush. If you want to take it down to its very bare basics, there's a chemical that's released in you. We don't know why. When you do something like that and it makes someone else happy, it makes you happy. And it's addicting, and you keep it going, and then eventually it becomes second nature. You don't even think about it at that point. And these small little conversations are going to grow into something bigger, and you're going to be happier, and the ripple effects are great. There have been people that have been around me enough when I do these things that they started taking the same actions upon themselves, and it's cool.
And in that last part, before we started talking about, the reaching out, you also were talking about how the first thing you kind of got to do is look yourself in the mirror. And I was just wondering, have you ever heard of the law of the mirror?
No, I can't say I have.
Okay, so I'm going to take a quick interjection on your interview here. And just, there's this thing called the law of the mirror.
Okay. And
I learned about it in a book by John C. Maxwell. It's called 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. I think everybody should read it. And it's basically talking about that same principle you just brought up, about having that hard conversation, looking at yourself, and allowing that to be one of the foundational things that helps you build on your own personal growth. And when you mentioned it right now, it just was such a spark for me, where I was like, oh, it's that thing I learned about. And this other person who has actually used it in their real life and has had success with it is now using it as a point of advice.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's completely, or at least in my experience, it's completely true. Now, your mileage may vary, but if you're trying to build a house and you built the house on a glass structure of some sort, it'll easily break and fall down. And if you built it on a cement structure, it's a lot less likely to crumble through the test of time. And it's kind of analogous to knowing yourself. If you truly know what makes you tick, or to a degree, because I'm always learning about myself. I'm excited when I learn something new about myself, or have an opportunity to learn something about myself. I'm only 28. I still have another 60 years about learning myself, about learning of myself. But when you know yourself, you build up that strong structure to build on. If you're faking it, I mean, you can crumble so easily.
Yeah, I I definitely see what you're saying there with being able to just kind of implode almost if you don't have the right support structure within you for what it is you're trying to achieve.
And I think imploding is a good word, but it's also very important for people to understand that you are going to implode no matter what. Your support structure can be insanely strong, can be very weak. How much you know about yourself can be very strong or very weak. Chances are you will implode and everything's going to break down. Understanding that it's happening, this is where understanding yourself comes in. Understand that you are imploding, accepting it, and then leaning into that support structure. That's what's going to get you up. Don't be afraid of imploding. I mean, yeah, it's going to suck. As best as you can, I would say, look at it eagerly, knowing that when it's done, not only are you going to learn something new about yourself, you're going to learn what not to do in the future, and you're going to be stronger. A stronger person, a smarter person, and a more confident person.
I know that we definitely tend to see this a lot just in our like media and society, especially with a lot of high-powered or high-profile people. There's definitely tons of times where just the pressure, the stress, what have you, whether they're big-time entrepreneurs, celebrities, you know, and they need to take that time where they retreat. They almost have these breakdowns, if you will, and we see it time after time. They withdraw, whether it's just time off the grid, some form of like kind of social media detox, all these things. And in my opinion, I think that once they kind of like make their, you know, self come back on the scene, and whatever it is that their line of work is, I just feel like it comes back 10 times better, stronger, whether they're a business person, like, oh my gosh, their ventures are even more like inventive, or, you know, we see artists, they come back and their work is just that much more inspiring. Mm-hmm. So I think it's definitely a great sentiment that you're saying here, that, yeah, it is inevitable that you're going to implode. And it's almost like a law of nature. It's almost like natural that it's going to happen. But it's not the end.
It's not the end. And I think, and you have a great example of looking at these, especially celebrities, people who are always in the public eye and under heavy scrutiny. If you can look at them, see that or understand that they are going through some sort of plight that, quite frankly, you and I could never understand. Yeah. I'm not saying their stressors are worse or easier than ours, but understand that they're going through something, and then when you see them come out of that, you be happy for them. You don't have to like the person. I can guarantee you most celebrities I'm not a big fan of. Actually, heck, I don't even know half the celebrities whose name float through the media now, but when I hear, oh, so-and-so broke down, and then they came back and sold or made a best-selling album, that's fantastic. And then you look at that and you try and learn whatever lessons you can from that and apply it to yourself. And it also makes you a more empathetic person, which is extremely important. Because if you don't have empathy for others, what's the point of the confidence? Where's it going to take you?
Yeah, it's like the confidence is arrogance without empathy.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. That's a fantastic way of putting it.
It's always humbling to see that happening in others, because it kind of humanizes all of us, that we all go through these things, and that it's not just these people that have, quote unquote, the world at their feet that have the highest confidence. They also have the lowest lows like we go through.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask if you can help. You never know how much it means. You can be that change easily for someone else, and it will give you that confidence. Taking those chances, doing those little things, and being honest and truthful, it will give you confidence.
Offering help is something that I think is so underrated, especially as somebody myself who hates asking for help. Mm-hmm. It is not in my temperament. So when help is offered, it's almost just like this beacon of hope that I could have never even seen for myself, even though it's there if I would ask for it. and I know that's one of my big weaknesses, is asking for help. And it definitely can hinder my own confidence because there's a reason I don't feel confident in reaching out to ask for help. Still working through that. But do you mind sharing what maybe one of your weaknesses is that kind of hinders your own self-growth and confidence?
Well, absolutely. I do have a similar one, and that's accepting things from other people. I still try to practice what I preach and lean on my support group, the people I know. But sometimes I just say no. Slowly and surely, when someone offers me help, say yes. Because people won't offer help unless they want to give it. It's not a burden for them. It's because they want to help you. I'm trying to think of another weakness, but I'm not really.
For those of you who can't see my interview, he's flexing. Ironically, he's also wearing a Spartan Race shirt. So we're going to segue into a nice little thing here because this podcast is called Exercise Confidence. We do like to bring up the exercise aspect in this. So there is something to be said about a level of confidence when you take on a physical feat, such as competing in a Spartan race. Was that another one of your crazy dive into it, or did you just feel confident enough in your physical capabilities to go and pursue this?
Well, for the record, you said I was flexing my muscles. I don't know if we can actually call them muscles. I'm flexing whatever these little flat, fleshy patches are.
I'm a kind interviewer.
I appreciate it. As far as, let's say, the Spartan Race, so the Spartan Race is an obstacle course developed by military personnel. All the proceeds get donated, I believe, to vets. And it's 3 different ones. They've got a easy, medium, and a hard one, varying anywhere from...
But is the easy really that easy? I'm wondering, can any Joe Schmo off the street kind of just come and do it?
Yes.
All right.
And it's not I wouldn't call them a Joe Schmo. If someone's trying it, they're not a Joe Schmo.
Okay, and I respect that. I like that.
But, so the first one I did the medium one because that was the one that was next. I didn't start with the easiest one. And didn't really do any sort of preparation beforehand, practicing, warming up, trying to get in shape. Didn't really work out. Brought a friend, and it took us a while. I think it took us like 4 or 5 hours to finish. Yeah, but eventually we did it. I was sunburned, head to toe. It was great. And afterwards, I was so pumped up. I'm like, let's do the next one. And for that one, after having just thrown myself through it, put one foot in front of the other, and finish it eventually, I had the confidence that I could do it again.
Oh, okay. So what's the main difference in terms of what you put yourself through physically between the medium level that's called, what's that name?
That would be the super.
And then the hardest one is, I'm assuming what your shirt says, the beast?
Yes, it is the beast.
So what's the difference in like mileage or obstacles or?
Both. So it's roughly give or take 12 miles.
Which one?
The beast. The beast is give or take.
Oh, wow. Okay. So we're basically doing a half marathon here.
Yeah. So it's about 12 miles. Whereas the super, that one is about 7 or 8 miles. You'll end up doing about an extra 4 or 5 obstacles depending on the location. And the beast typically is in a very mountainous area. I know mine was at a ski resort, but it was during the summer, so where all the lifts are supposed to take you up to the top of the hill, you had to do it yourself.
Oh.
So, but it seems like a lot more or a big pain in the butt, but it's just time and putting one foot in front of the other. I didn't finish all the obstacles. I gave up on some of them, or rather my body gave up. But you get up and you got to get down the mountain one way or another. There were people cheering each other on. There were people who, I guess you can call them a Joe Schmo, who you would think, just by looking at them, you say, how are they doing this right now? And the support group, they didn't bring their own. It was people on the field. There's a Tough Mudder I did, where a Tough Mudder is a similar event to the Spartan Race, where there was a woman. She was at the top of this it was almost like a diving board.
Okay.
She was scared. She was crying. She was trembling because she had to jump down into this really, really cold water and swim out. And she was so frightened. And you look around this body of water that she had to jump into, and there's 12, 13, 14 strangers cheering her on. No one knew who she was, and when she jumped down, everyone cheered her on, helped her out, patted her on the back, and they walked off together.
That's like such a beautiful story, and talking about kind of cultivating this sense of community in this way, and you've talked about the support system. I just think that being able to experience something like that you're saying here has got to be like next level. To just see people that don't even know each other, like, literally stop and ensure someone else is okay, and give them some of their own confidence to be able to know, like, look, I just did it. You can do it. Like, what is it like to see that?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned it, because after she got out, she turns around to her friend who is also freaking out, and she says, no, you got this. It wasn't that bad.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's that ripple effect that you were talking about. It comes through. And the biggest takeaway is, if she had decided to just walk around the pool, she never would have known that experience. She climbed the ladder, got to the top where she was supposed to jump off. She put herself into the position. One foot after another, she put herself there, and it worked out. So it's important you might not always recognize the situations where you can put yourself into that position, but if you're feeling a little uncomfortable, that's probably a sign that here's your chance.
I like that. I like that. Uncomfortable is kind of where a lot of good things start, is at the end of our comfort zone. I've heard that quote a lot, and I like it because I believe it's true. Somebody who loves to stay in my comfort zone, but I know nothing good's going to come there, and I've got to get out of it to go after stuff. And you're talking about how this woman climbed this ladder, jumps off, does something she doesn't think she could ever do. Like, literally, how many times in life do we feel like we are just going uphill to get to a point that we think like we're never going to overcome, and then we do, and we look back and we're like, wow, I did it, just like that woman you're talking about right now.
Well, I think you and anybody listening right now, if they stop and they think about where they're at right now, doesn't matter if you are 10 years old, you're 23, you're 50, you're 70, you overcame something you thought you wouldn't overcome. If it's, for a lot of people, probably for a lot of your listeners, it's school. It's, I'm not going to finish this class. Or it's, okay, I'm dropping out of this class. I don't know what I'm going to do. Which is a very likely thing that's happened to a lot of people. I've dropped out of a lot of classes. Still graduated eventually, but I dropped out of a lot of classes, and I thought it would be the end of the world. But here I am. I am standing. It doesn't matter who you are. Think about where you are right now. At one point, you were hurting. At one point, you've had a rock bottom. Every single person, somewhere, there's been a rock bottom. And you got out of it. If you are in your rock bottom right now, you will get out of it. Eat some food, try and get some sleep, wake up, and you're one step closer. With every step and day you take, you are closer, and you're going to gain that confidence, and you're going to do it. And if you're having troubles, like, go ahead and reach out to me. Shoot me a message. I'm sure we can get you my contact information. It's not a problem. I'd be more than happy to listen to your plight, like, gladly.
Talking right now, you were just saying about, how important it is, no matter what you're going through, to just keep putting that one foot in front of the other, keep taking that one step at a time. And you also mentioned it when you were talking about the races, that you were doing that. Especially that first one, you basically just went in not really knowing what you're doing, putting one foot in front of the other, getting to the finish line. And just like express like what that feeling must have been like when you actually made it to the finish line, like the first time at the Beast, like when you did finish the trifecta.
Well, it's weird because at that moment, the second I finish it, it doesn't seem like an otherworldly feeling, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I did that. When I finish the Beast, it's, I need some water, I need to sit down, I need to just relax for a second, and oh yeah, where's my free beer?
Priorities,
yes, absolutely. But you're so caught up in the moment, you don't, or at least for me, I don't realize how profound, how much magnitude is behind whatever it is I just did. And it isn't until the effects that it had on me, physically and mentally, have fully grown, that I can look back and realize and be proud of what I actually accomplished.
Okay, all right. And you know what? I can respect that. I truly do love hearing the other perspectives. I know myself, I've done a couple different physical things and feats like that. I've completed a half marathon. But it's interesting to hear your perspective of, you don't feel that immediate gratification. You need time for it to sink in. Whereas me, like, I crossed the finish line on my half marathon and I started crying without any tears. I looked very weird. I think I was just heaving.
Were you crying without tears because
I was dehydrated?
There was no more water left.
There was no more water left within me, and I wasn't going to pull a Leslie Knope where I just immediately down Gatorade so I can continue crying from a good moment. But has it always been that way with you in terms of when you achieve something really special or noteworthy, that it kind of takes a moment for you to actually revel in that feeling of what you've done or what you've accomplished, rather than having that immediate sense of pride or gratification?
I would say yes. It's always been that way because I've always tried to be someone who lives in the moment and cherishes the memory. When you live in the moment, you are paying attention to who's around you. You're paying attention to what the scenery is. You're paying attention to whatever your body is feeling at that time. A wide range of emotions, sights, all your different senses are going off, and you try to live into that, to experience it and absorb it. And then later on, you look back at the memory and you go, wow, who I am today is because, in part, to that accomplishment. So whether it's packing everything in my car and moving down to Southern California, or finishing the Spartan Race. Because when I took my first step in the Spartan Race, I had no idea who I was going to be at the end. And at the end, I didn't know I was any different. I just thought I was tired. But looking back on it now, I can say, wow, that was truly me taking a leap of faith in myself, doing something I've never done before. And I know I can do it again if I need.
Taking the leap of faith, like you just said, you also again brought up throwing everything in your car and deciding to do Spartan Race. Mm-hmm. All of these things, to say the least, have been areas that your crazy confidence has taken you. So where is the next place that this confidence is taking you? What's next on your journey that you are working towards?
Well, two answers to that question. One answer is I don't know.
Okay, fair.
And that's exactly where I hope it would take me.
Okay.
I try not to plan too much. If something were to come up in life where me and my significant other had an opportunity to move to the other side of the country, but we had to do it in the next week, I would do it. So it could take me there. I'm not sure. As far as things that I know that are going on, I decided that I'm not happy at my current accounting job. And so I decided to start a business. So I went out, I bought some window cleaning supplies. I made a logo, bought a website domain, and in the next week or two here, I'm hoping to get my first client. I taught myself how to window clean, and we're going to see where that goes.
Now, the way that you just almost so nonchalantly just decided, not happy with what I'm doing, going to start a business, what can I do? It all just seems very, not matter of fact, but easy? Is it easy for you to be this confident in the choices that you make when you have just a feeling and decide to go with it?
Yes, because if I start this business and it doesn't work, what happens? If I try and go out and I can't get any clientele because there's too many people already in the business, there's people who are doing better than me in the business, and it doesn't work out. What am I out? $200-300, some window cleaning supplies, and that's it. I can go donate the window cleaning supplies, or at the very least, I keep them from when I clean my house. That's the worst case scenario. Best case scenario is, I have a successful business. One way or another, I am learning something. And with that knowledge, I know, okay, I know one way not to start a business. So when I do it again, I know at least one path not to take. And I know I'm going to wake up the next day, if my business fails, which most small businesses do when they start, and I'm going to wake up, I'm going to have both my legs, I'm going to have both my arms, I'm going to have a roof over my head. It's fine. And if any of those things disappear, I'll figure it out.
To say the least, I just think that what I'm learning from you in this interview is that you seem to be just a very brave person. And I think that sometimes bravery and confidence do go hand in hand. Kind of, going through uncharted territory in your own life does take a certain level of bravery rather than just being completely self-assured and confident. I think you kind of have to be ready to kind of, brace yourself for whatever comes. Do you have anything that's kind of helped anchor you to be ready to brace whatever life throws at you and to have that brave face in the, when it comes your way?
Yes. And I think that this moment really hit me when I was having a really difficult semester. I was doing 18 units.
Wow.
I was doing 18 units. I was working, I think, about 40 hours between 2 jobs or 3 jobs.
Oh.
I don't remember. And it was finals week, and I had just gotten evicted.
Okay. And this just sounds like a good story.
Oh, it was... Well, I look back on this fondly because I remember there was a point where I texted a relative of mine and I was saying, hey, I'm kind of freaking out right now. What do I do? And they said, hey, if it doesn't work out, if you need to stop school, you can come, live here for however long you need to get back on your feet. And I realized that support structure that I had inherently built up over a couple of years, this is where it really came in. I know that my parents, they're amazing. And if everything were to break down, I can go live with them, get back on my feet. I've got friends where I moved to. If things were to fail, they got me. I have confidence in my support structure that I built and that it's going to carry me through. We're in the greatest time of America in regards to what an individual can accomplish. if you fail and you start over from scratch, you already have more than so many other people because you're here, and the possibilities are endless.
I love that you said the notion of having the confidence in your support system, especially after this moment where life just threw so much at you, and it could have been very easy for you to almost retreat and have some self-pity rather than reaching out to that support system like you said, and then them reciprocating that response that you were hoping for. And then the confidence that has been even more entrenched because of the outcome that was there. So I'd like to say that I hope from this episode alone that my listeners do realize that some semblance of some support is super foundational to being able to create that self-confidence, because yes, as much as we can try daily to really fake it till we make it, sometimes you just need someone else.
And you are absolutely right. Sometimes you need someone else. And at that point, if you can, don't look at it as a me and this person. Look at it as us, as we. If you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, brother, sister, friend, mother, father, even a stranger, it's two people getting through something. And when you realize that it's us and we, you can accept the fact that you are using help a lot easier.
That's such a strong sentiment. And like you said earlier, that if somebody needs to reach out and they don't have anyone, that you're more than happy to be that first place for them to kind of turn to. And I know that you're very good at connecting with people, and so I'm sure that our listeners will make sure that contact information is out there, and I am confident that this man can find some way to get you connected with somebody that is maybe closer to you geographically, in some sort of similar aspects, similar interests. And just remember that you're not alone. We're there for you. People are there for you. And Alex, I just want to ask you here, if you were to share your favorite tip for somebody to be able to exercise confidence daily, what would it be?
To exercise confidence daily, I would say it would be hearkening back to a song that I listened to. It's called Everyone's Free to Wear Sunscreen. It came out in the late 90s, and there's a line in there. It says, do something every day that scares you. Now, when he says do something that scares you, it's not like watch a horror movie, even though that can be the thing. That doesn't have to be something that you're terrified of. But when you have a split second to think, I shouldn't do that, maybe take that chance. Maybe it's asking that person out. Maybe it's trying Indian food for the first time. Maybe it's buying that shirt that you didn't think you could pull off and wearing it. Doing those little things every day that scares you, I would say that's it. And also, if you haven't, go listen to that song. It's produced by Baz Luhrmann. It's absolutely worth it.
I do agree. I have heard that song. I love it. It has gotten me through some crazy times in life just to kind of hear it and remember that some of the sentiments in there really have a lot of worth in their weight. And I will link it down at the bottom of this episode so you can give it a click. It is definitely worth your minutes of your time to just soak it in. Alex, I do want to thank you so much for being here. I just think that what you've said today is valuable, and I know that whoever decides to listen to us is definitely going to get something out of what you had to share.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here, and I'm excited to see what else you've got. I'll subscribe and be a listener.
And we're excited to see what else you're going to be doing. And whenever I do get a real office, I will absolutely contract you to clean my windows.
Be glad to.
Thank you again so much, Alex. Thank you so much for listening. You have no idea what it means to me that you took the time to click here and to listen through what it is we had to say today. I hope you'll tune into our next episode. And I hope that you always remember to exercise confidence every day. Well, there you have it. Exercise Confidence Episode 1, down. A little update on our interviewee since we last spoke with him. Alex has quit his job in LA at the accounting firm and is now full force with his very good window cleaning business. For anybody that is looking for window cleaning, go ahead and check him out at verygoodwindowcleaning.com. His information is linked below in this episode. I just admire his tenacity and the way that when he makes up his mind, he sticks with his decision. The way that he exercises confidence in the choices that he makes to better his life is seriously inspiring, even to this interviewer here. So next week, I hope you tune in. We have a very exciting guest. Her name is Rayna Ramirez. She is a Division I college athlete. She is currently getting her master's in sports psychology, and she is a Miss California sister of mine. So we're going to have a lot of fun stuff to talk about with that one. You don't want to miss it. Again, thank you so much for tuning in to Exercise Confidence, and I hope you find a way to do it every day.